Hello and welcome into the Sporting Pod, along with Mauricio Ruiz and Emerson Burris. I'm Cole Pemper. Tony Allegretti is on assignment today. He'll rejoin us next week. Coming up today on the pod, preparing for the USL Super League playoffs, plus more about Sporting JAX in the community and a budding superstar in our midst, other than Emerson, of course. We'll get into that in just a bit. A reminder, you are fed by the Bearded Pig. We are fed by the Bearded Pig, locally owned and operated, the original location in San Marco. Get in there early for those delicious burnt ends, by the way. Make sure you swing by the Bearded Pig for great barbecue and great times. Okay, this weekend, gentlemen and lady and gentlemen, we are going to be looking forward to the USL Super League playoffs for the first time ever in the inaugural season. The Super League will kick off in the postseason. And the four teams that made it in, Tampa Bay Sun will host Dallas Trinity. That is the 2 versus 3 matchup. And then we will have the 1 versus 4 with Carolina Ascent hosting Fort Lauderdale United. Mauricio, I can't help but think back to opening weekend in August when you and Becky Burley and I and some others in the Sporting JAX front office ventured down to Tampa Bay to watch the Sun take on Dallas Trinity in the home opener for the Tampa Bay Sun. And now here we are, lo and behold, these two teams meeting in the postseason.
Yeah, and I remember that trip really well. It was hot.
Yes, it was.
It was a hot August. I know we were trying to get set up, and there's really no shade. They had a great complex, great atmosphere, and we're just looking for a little bit of shade. I know we kept going into the air-conditioned gym that they had in there, trying to find a little bit of time off of our sweating glands. But what an event they put together, and we saw that opening weekend, record crowds across the inaugural season of the USL Super League, and some of them were able to maintain some really good following throughout the season. And I think what we saw, Cole, from that first day when we saw Trinity visiting Tampa Bay, our team just improving the quality of play, their identity. We talked about, in a very first broadcast, like what should we expect from day one? I think just a lot of nerves. And once those nerves kind of got out of the way, the season got rolling. I mean, they're 28 games in. There's a bit of an identity build within each team, and there's some consistency as well. And no one better than Carolina, which really for the most of the season really left from the front. So it's great to see that they were able to maintain number one, but we got to learn a lot about the season this year.
Yeah, I do think there is a little bit of firepower in both of these matchups in terms of league honors and big scores and so forth. So let's just give you a little bit of a preview if you're going to watch this weekend. The first matchup, Saturday, 7:30 from Riverfront Stadium in Tampa as the Sun hosts Dallas Trinity. Trinity coming in with the Golden Boot winner, Allie Thornton, 13 goals this year for Dallas Trinity, leading the USL Super League. And then Cecilia Fleu, it's F-L-O with a line through it and then an E. I believe I'm pronouncing it right, Fleu, with 11 goals. And Natasha Flint with 9 goals. Carly Giamona with 7 goals. Those three very potent going forward for Tampa Bay. So we'll see that. And then in the matchup involving Fort Lauderdale and Carolina, you have Mia Corbin, who has 12 goals, second most goals scored in the league this year. And then a couple of Fort Lauderdale United players, Addie McCain, who scored 10, and Jasmine Hamid, who scored 9. So no surprise, Mao, that we've got players, you got teams with players who are making plays, still alive and playing for the championship.
Right. I mean, that's what, when you look at teams that have arrived at the championship, I mean, it is a collective of the whole group, right? Like the sum of all parts makes up a team, but those sums actually have to add to something and they have to bring something to the table. And when you look at a team like Dallas Trinity with the Golden Boot coming in, I mean, you got to be coming into the playoffs hot, right? Either you're not conceding a whole lot of goals, which is the case with a lot of these teams, but you look at a goal differential with Carolina Ascent, a 21 goal differential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really positive. Only giving up 21 goals, scoring 28. But Tampa really looks like the really, really strong team with the way that they defend. They don't give up a whole lot. But playoffs, Cole, we know they're different. We just saw a lot of the Champions League and how it was in the two leg versus the one-off game. and how teams approach that, and having a hot goal scorer bodes really well going into this knockout stages.
I want to bring Emerson Burris in here. Emerson, of course, will be on the sidelines for us as the USL Super League season starts in August. And being able to watch in the postseason, we're starting to already lay some of the storylines for when these teams come to town. What are you going to be watching for here in the playoffs this weekend?
I think everything we've been talking about all season. I mean, last week, Dallas beat Carolina after an 8-win streak. And I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be Dallas and Carolina in the finals. But I mean, just getting to see these players on a weekly basis and hopefully get to know them off the field as well, I think storylines are just going to continue.
Yeah, it's something that everybody around the league has been doing this year, is watching to see the personalities develop, personalities of the players, personalities of the teams, how these players are impacting the game. Again, Dallas was certainly buoyed this year by adding a player from college in Lexi Missimo, who came in from the University of Texas and came right in and contributed. And we've talked a lot about how that first season has played out in terms of operationally learning best practices. There's more to come, certainly, with that. As for Sporting JAX, the team will be starting the USL Super League season in August, and season tickets start as low as $10 per game for students. You have options for reserve, club, premium, and field side seating also available. Join the movement by securing your season tickets today and receive a limited edition inaugural season scarf. There's also an installment plan available with all the benefits of season ticket ownership from your first installment. Go to sportingjax.com/tickets or call 904-863-KICK. All right, one of the things that Emerson has been doing since her arrival, 3 weeks ago now?
I graduated college, I think it's like 27 days ago.
Okay, all right. So
moved here 3 days after I graduated.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
she's a veteran then.
Yeah.
She's
exactly. But one of the things we've had her doing is going out with our youth soccer spotlight on the Sporting JAX report, which airs this weekend, 12:30 Saturday on NBC 12. And one of the things that you've been doing is seeing how Sporting JAX has been supporting efforts utilizing soccer in the community. And you were just this week at a camp for diabetic kids, type 1 diabetes. And share a little bit of what you saw down there specifically. And then I'd also want to ask you about what you're seeing in terms of the way that the community is interacting with Sporting JAX at these things.
Yeah, like you said, I went down to the diabetes camp. I honestly had no idea what we were getting into. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but Sporting JAX went down there and we put on a clinic within this camp. It's a week-long camp for free with kids with diabetes, type 1 or type 2. And most of the staff there also has diabetes or has been impacted by diabetes in a way. And it's just a way for these kids to create community and have kids around them that are just like them. And they are so open to talking about it with their pumps or their Dexcoms, and they know that they can take breaks and that's okay, and they're totally comfortable with that. And they just had so much energy and were so excited to play soccer and, yeah, just get involved in the community. It was awesome to see what Sporting JAX is doing.
So great to see that soccer, and listen, other sports can be utilized with this as well, but there are so many kids who want to be involved playing soccer. I think it's the second biggest sport for youth in the country, and so to see what's happening with kids who are dealing with some things that a lot of other kids don't even have to think about, but this is a great platform for them to sort of learn, like you say, I can go, then I can kind of stop, and I can figure out how the diabetes is impacting me on a day-to-day basis or an activity-to-activity basis. And we also see the Sporting JAX coaches who are out there, Sporting JAX Soccer Academy coaches, the way that they give back via the game that they love is also great to see.
Yeah, Anthony was down there yesterday, one of our staff members, and I have never seen someone so excited and so involved to do star jumps. He was so involved with all of the kids putting on the best games and just was so excited to be around them and give back.
And Mauricio, we've talked so much about how important it is to have a strong and visible community effort, because that's really ultimately, winning games is great. You win championships, that's great. But the impact that Sporting JAX has begun to make and will continue to make on the community is really what it's all about.
Yeah, Cole, before we kick a soccer ball professionally, obviously our summer teams are rolling now and youth will come pretty quickly. But before we kick a professional soccer ball, think one thing that, we need to be really proud of what we've done is our connection to the community in many different ways, right? With what Tony's doing with some of the outreach programs, with what we've done with high school and colleges, career centers, I mean, you name it, right? Fairs. I mean, we've really been on the ground running for a couple of years, almost to, tiring, because we all wanted to get to the place where we are now, like, preseason signings, coaches, and eventually kicking a soccer ball. But I think long term, we'll look at what is our legacy as a club and what have we done. And I think we'll look back and be humbly proud of the work and the impact that this team will have made in the community, and how our team and players and coaches will be accessible. And that's something important to us, that, that we use a platform of the game to really make an impact, whether it is in one community or another community, whether it's a need community, or just bring awareness to something, as you guys were talking about with the Diabetes Foundation there. I just think it's really important. And that's one thing that I believe, having been in the professional soccer world for the last 20 years, we're doing a really, really good job. Wins are never guaranteed. There's a lot of components to it, whether it's injury to players or just competition in general, as we know. But this is something that we can control, and this is something we can do really well. And in my books, we've done a really, really good job, and there's more work to be done. So it's not to settle, but there's a huge impact being made even before we kick a soccer ball.
Yeah, and it has been great to see, and there are so many different ways in which a soccer team can impact the community. With kids is obviously a very obvious one, and as you mentioned, Tony and the Sporting JAX Foundation have been doing a great job of getting the game into neighborhoods that don't always necessarily have access to the game, or serving kids that may need after school programs. As Emerson was down last week, then this week the Diabetes Camp. There is an additional part of being active in the community, and that is, I think, reflected in how we lift every voice, which is the club motto. And sometimes it's not necessarily underserved community. Sometimes it's just giving a place for community to gather, and one of those communities is the community of soccer fans. And we were at Island Wing Company after the USLW home opener this past week for a watch party for the U.S. women's national team. We'll be at a watch party on Saturday as well. We will be at Strings Sports Brewery in Jacksonville Beach, the Jax Beach location, for the men's national team taking on Turkey. So there are all these different components to being in the community and growing the community around the club. And I've told people often, when we get involved as a club and from a broadcast standpoint, the first thing we want to do is, how do we grow the community and keep engaging the community around the club? Because we're going to have year-round soccer. As soon as we start playing in August, there will not be, other than that month and a half holiday break that the USL Super League plays, we're going to have basically year-round soccer between the women and the men playing. And so there are going to be so many opportunities. And Mao, as you know, there have been times where the soccer community has felt not appreciated or not seen. It's getting better as the sport grows in popularity. But, in Jacksonville, you're always fighting for eyeballs against football when it's football season. And even sometimes when it's not, it's the off season, you're still fighting with football for attention. So anything we can do to try to give soccer fans an opportunity to gather together and commune, I think, is a real positive.
Well, I think we're bringing a completely different product to the city that's never existed before, with, leading with the women's team, first and foremost. I mean, it's a space that's vacant right now. So, yeah, there's limited bandwidth of consumption of our fan base, or just in general. But I think this fits in a completely different category for them. You can still do, your JAGs and your college football and all of that. But this really now creates a desire and an attention completely different than any of those other products before. So, we expect a huge crossover in interest, but we also expect a brand new fan base that has been eager for something slightly different. And we have a long way to go before putting the complete picture in front of them. But this is a really good starting point. And for our young ladies and girl dads, and such as yourself, Cole, I think this is just a complete different product that you can be able to take your daughters and your family to a game that is more representative of them, that currently does not exist. in our city.
I'm going to make an easy transition here from that comment to let all girl dads out there know that we have a Father's Day offer right now. Father's Day is coming up. It's a great way to celebrate Father's Day with a gift that creates a daddy-daughter lifetime memory, whether your daughter is a little one or whether she's grown. Until Father's Day, you can purchase a twin ticket pack for the USL Super League opener August the 23rd against DC Power from just $30. If you can't make it to that game, other match dates are available on request. Go to sportingjax.com to purchase your digital voucher. Then you can redeem the voucher before game day to claim your tickets and get ready to make some memories. You can see more on Sporting JAX on the Sporting JAX Report, 12:30 Saturday on NBC 12. And then twice on radio every week. You can join us every Tuesday at 6 for the Coaches Show on 1010XL. Listen live and on demand at 1010XL.com. And I would urge you, if you haven't already, go and listen to this past Tuesday's show. We did it live from Mandarin High School at the USL W League's home opener, and we heard from all three of the new signings for the team. We heard from Zara Siassi from UNF, who was there live with us, and I had also recorded some interviews with Parker Roberts, the former Florida Gator, who was recently signed, as well as Caroline Murray, who is a veteran who's been playing in Europe, most recently in Iceland. And great to hear their excitement level for what's going to happen and the impact they can have on our community as well. And then we can also urge you to, if you just can't get enough Mauricio, and who can, Mauricio, Becky Burley join me every Thursday night at 6 on AM 930, Fox Sports Radio Jacksonville, for the Sporting JAX Soccer Hour. All right, let's get into, we mentioned a budding star in our midst, and the USLW team, which is now ranked number 2 in the nation out of 93 teams. And although I will say the bookkeeping isn't always consistent across the entire league, we believe that of those 93 teams, the leading goal scorer in the league with 10 goals in 5 games, that's 2 goals per game, is Sporting JAX forward Aliyah Fadul. And Emerson, you've talked with her a bit. What a start to her season she's having. Georgia State, a college soccer player, and somebody who wants to find her way into a professional career at some point. And boy, she's showing she can do it.
Yeah, she sure is. And she's just a powerhouse on the field, but off the field, she is truly just the nicest person, the most bubbly personality. And we talked a little bit at practice, and she knew what she was getting herself into, and she knows her job is to score goals as she's a striker, and she's doing just that every single game.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's had she scored in every game. She had a hat trick, and then she had the only goal in the victory over Fort Lauderdale United, which is probably the toughest regular season matchup in the division for Sporting JAX. And Mauricio, we saw last year where the team was ranked number 1. That team included Georgia Brown, who just played recently for the Scotland U23s and will be coming back to play for Sporting JAX when her time there with the Scotland U23s is completed. But it just shows, and some of these players are from the Jacksonville area. Some have come in from colleges around the country. But it really shows the focus that Sporting JAX has put on the women's game here as we prepare to launch into the USL Super League.
Yeah, I mean, we're wondering what to expect or what the difference would be from last year playing under, really the top of the pyramid, which is what Florida League provided with the W team in the League 2. And now having another step above that, if that was going to give players just an additional, boost of motivation. And now that, they need it because they're already trying to do, be the best that they can. But certainly it does. I think you have to be silly not to assume that or to expect that. And you're right about the stats. I've been trying to find more concise stats on the USL W League website. Sometimes you're a little bit inconsistent or maybe late kind of coming into it. And I did have to check your math, Cole. You're right. 10 goals in 5 games equals to 2 goals a game.
Yeah, thank you.
Sounds like easy math, but when you actually stop to think about it, you go, hang on a second. She scored 10 goals in 5 games. You actually do have to double check your math because that's pretty remarkable that she's doing that. And at this rate, I would imagine, and listen, I'm not part of the coaching staff right now. I'm not part of the technical staff inside the building, but I would imagine a performance like that should at least draw the interest for maybe, let's say here, maybe an invite to preseason. I don't know. But I think that's what these young players are looking for.
She's, by the way, a rising junior in college, so she still has some college eligibility remaining if she wants to continue there. Another player worth keeping an eye on the W League team is Genti Feja. She is just called up to the Kosovo senior national team, not the U20s, not the U23s, the senior national team for Kosovo. And Genti is one that we'll be keeping an eye on as well. It's been very impressive to see how it all plays out. This is the time in the show when we let Tony break format. Oh, wait, he's not here. We will have no broken format this time around. How about that? How about that? A smooth transition, and this gives me a great opportunity to invite you to join us at our next watch party. We have a number of watch parties lined up. Please follow Sporting JAX on social media. Most places, it's Sporting_JAX. Please subscribe to the Sporting JAX YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, get your season tickets in because the place is filling up. We are expecting great crowds at Hodges Stadium in August when the season begins. So for Emerson Burris and Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks so much for listening to The Sporting Pod.